Boxing is a wonderful sport, and throughout its long history gave us boxers who thrilled audiences with their spectacular fights.
Himself, no question about that. Rolling down from that right hand. 55 seconds of the 7th round. Holy
But time is relentless, and for each fighter there comes a moment when you need to leave the ring. Some can see it, while others only realize this through painful lessons that fortunately did not color their legendary careers. Today, we will consider 5 fights in which these boxing legends suffered a crushing defeat and came to realize that their time in the ring was over. Almost everyone has heard of Mike Tyson, even people far from boxing. His rage, his uncontrollability, and his aura of invulnerability. In the 80s, he was a phenomenon whom boxing had never seen before.
My mission is to go and destroy and not to let anything get involved. You get punched, you get hurt. I refuse to be hurt, knocked down, and knocked out. I can't lose. I refuse to lose.
But youth is not eternal. And on June 11, 2005, at the age of 38, he was the Mike Tyson from whom only a reputation remained in the ring. He hoped to resume his career after the defeat of Danny Williams. Mike was matched against Kevin McBride, who was supposed to serve as an easy knockout to help continue Mike's career.
Unfair, but I'm firm. Touch him up.
But it so happened that Mike hit him with everything he had and barely moved McBride.
McBride kind of working the inside. We let him tie up Tyson. Oh, hey! Because of the knee injury. Over the top comes McBride. Off the left hand by Sir. Hey, you're a puncher. It's hard to be in this posture. Punching with 4 even intentions now to begin the 4th. Now, McBride, the body work of Tyson has been very, very good in this round.
House tactics here. It's an awful round for Mike Tyson. And a right hand upstairs left in the 6th round.
And if McBride actually wins this round, it would be a 10-7 round.
Not a knockdown.
It was sad to see Tyson in this state. He fought for 6 rounds, but was in no shape to finish the 7th. And so ended the career of the legendary Mike Tyson.
It's over, Al. It's over. Kevin McBride is the winner. Mike Tyson quits on his stool. He's not coming out.
I'm just sorry I let everybody down. I just don't have this in my heart anymore.
Does that mean we won't see you fight again?
Yeah, that's most likely. I'm not going to fight again. I'm not going to disrespect the sport anymore by losing to this caliber of fighters.
What would have happened if Mike was at the peak of his form? It would have been a total annihilation of Kevin McBride in the first 3 rounds. What happened to Mike's legacy? Nothing. Tyson was and remains one of the brightest figures in boxing history. Bernard Hopkins was one of those guys who rose from the bottom. Boxing helped him get out of prison, and Hopkins went on to build a wonderful career, successfully defending the world title 20 times. It seemed that Bernard had achieved everything in boxing, but that was not enough. He tried to overcome time. At first, his attempts were successful, becoming world champion 3 times at the ages of 46, 47, and 49. On December 17, 2016, his last fight took place, and Hopkins made it clear that this was his farewell fight in which he was going to beautifully end his long career. His rival was Joe Smith, whom Hopkins considered a good option for himself. What was expected in this battle? Hopkins was 52, and Smith was given a chance to make a name by defeating the reigning champion. In fact, the fight was competitive, but Smith was too hardy for Hopkins. And in the 8th round, Smith knocked out Bernard at the side of the ring, a blow from which he could not return. This was the first early defeat in Hopkins' career.
11, 12, 13, 14.
What if Hopkins had been at his peak? Throughout his career, Bernard was a cunning boxer and in his best condition would have defeated Joe Smith by unanimous decision. What happened to Hopkins' legacy? In the great scheme of things, nothing. Around him remained an aura of a man capable of challenging time, and the defeat by Smith did nothing to damage this aura. The legendary Joe Louis ruled in the heavy division for 12 years, and at the defeat of Ezzard Charles, the time seemed right for the 36-year-old Louis to think about retirement, especially because during this time, boxing saw the rise of Rocky Marciano, who masterfully dealt with opponents and who only lacked a victory over a famous opponent. As a result, the two met in the ring on October 26, 1951, in New York. And so what did everyone expect from this fight? Despite some doubt, logic suggested that Marciano should win. However, Louis had a recent series of 8 victories within 11 months that reassured him that he had the trump cards to defeat Marciano. What really happened? There was a fierce battle in the first 5 rounds, but the 37-year-old Louis physically could not last against the 28-year-old Marciano, and the ending came in the 8th round when Marciano sent Louis twice to the ring floor.
Hard left hook sends Louis crawling to the canvas. Now watch, a left, another left crumples Louis, a blazing right, and Louis sails through the ropes.
After the second time, Louis could not continue the fight. This was the last fight of Joe Louis in the ring.
Try to help Joe back off the ring apron. Referee Goldstein on the left simply looks at the stricken fighter and knows that the ex-champion is finished.
What if Louis had been at the peak of his form? This would have been a spectacular battle. Louis would have been able to carry out his striking combinations that would have seriously damaged Marciano, and in later rounds, Louis would have ended this fight. Sugar Ray Leonard is one of the best boxers of the 1980s. He was like lightning in the ring. No one could withstand him. Not Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, Roberto Durand, Wilfred Benitez, or other legendary boxers.
He gets Leonard against the ropes. A quick left, a stop. There's got to be a winner. There's got to be a loser. But these young men are fighters. There, he got him down again. It seemed almost inevitable. Look at him. Rubbery leg, wobbly, looking at the crowd, showing the mouthpiece. All right, let him go.
But there is a limit to everything. And for Leonard, that limit came on March 1st, 1997 in Atlantic City. This return was the norm for Leonard, so there was not much surprise when he returned to the ring at the age of 40 after his 6th break from boxing. This time his contender was Hector Camacho. What was expected from this battle? We can pay tribute to the greatness of Leonard and say that despite his age, many people believed in his skill and experience. What about Camacho? At this time, he was still a formidable contender, although his striking power had somewhat faded over the years.
Punches here are still good, drunk a little hard. Give me a good lead fight. Obey my commands at all times. God bless you both.
Season, more relaxed, a real pro in there, trying to punch.
Then they go to the scorecard.
John Saraceno watching.
Oh, good stop there by Leonard.
Leonard is down. He was hurt.
What happened? Leonard was defeated in the 5th round. It was probably Leonard's worst career performance. This was the first fight where Sugar was unable to go the distance, and this was his last fight.
Sugar Ray Leonard in trouble.
So much time remaining to try to survive this 5th round.
Sugar Ray is ready to stop this fight.
Camacho landing push hits to stop it. Now it's time. There it is. And it's all. Everybody's wondering what next. Where do you go from here? I know you want some water first, but where do you go?
Oh, for sure, my career is definitely over in the ring. I mean,
5 years, 6 years down the road?
no. I mean, no one's ever put a halt to me in a fight. No one, even Hagler. Oh, Tommy Hearns.
What if Leonard had been at the peak of his form? Surely he would have won, even though Camacho had never lost a single fight ahead of schedule in his entire career. Logically, Leonard would have won by unanimous decision by a wide margin. What happened to Leonard's legacy? Nothing. The legendary moments in his career completely blocked this fiasco in the battle with Camacho. Muhammad Ali. Without a doubt, he can be called an icon of boxing. He was a revolutionary in the sport, doing what no one before him had done, ushering in a new era in the history of boxing.
Ali having a little difficulty understanding the referee there. He's got to stop this. He's broken him up. He's going to get a mandatory 8 count. He slumped on his knees there, just like a stricken bull. Jurgen Flynn.
But the end of his career was very disappointing. In 1978, he fought a victorious revenge match with Leon Spinks, and then seemed to retire from boxing. But he could not resist the desire to return to the ring. His next opponent was his own former sparring partner, Larry Holmes, who at the time was at the peak of his form and had already managed to hold 7 successful WBC belt defenses. What did most expect from this fight? Holmes was at his peak, while Ali was 38, just coming back from a 2-year break, and was clearly about to fight the wrong opponent. A definite victory by Holmes was expected. Well, what happened?
Here we go. Larry Holmes dancing across. Come on, that's it. Dig in, dig in. Bring it up, Big Jack.
It was a beating. Holmes dominated every second in this fight until the 10th round, when Angelo Dundee stopped this massacre.
He could lay down as soon as he found out that his arms weren't working. He's staying.
Well, check him out.
I think Angelo wants to stop the fight.
Angelo Dundee wants to stop the fight.
Of course, after that, Ali still had a fight with Trevor Berbick, but it was the fight with Holmes that put an end to Ali's career.
It'll be scored as a technical knockout.
What would have happened if Ali was at the peak of his form? Holmes was a great fighter, so his chances should not be discounted. But Ali at his peak was faster and better. We believe that Ali would get the better of Holmes in a close fight. What happened to Ali's legacy? His status as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time has remained, but it's awful to see him beaten. Perhaps these are some of the saddest moments in boxing history. Thanks for watching this video. If you know of other legendary boxers who also ended their careers after a bitter defeat, tell us about them in the comments below, and we will feature them in a future video.